Why Media Group? The fastest growing media group in North America.
Hello and welcome back to Y Media Newsroom. I'm Ramona Singh, and for the first time, the US government has reportedly delayed the public release of an American artificial intelligence model over national security concerns. Well, if you know ChatGPT and you use it and you saw all the different models that came out, and perhaps it made your life easier and you enjoyed the advanced models. Now, this is the first time where you have the Trump administration has obstructed OpenAI, the parent company of ChatGPT, to initially limit its release of its next generation AI model and the ChatGPT 5.6. And this is to a small group of government approved partners. Now, the move reportedly came after officials concluded that the model possesses capabilities comparable to Anthropic's highly advanced Mythos system, technology considered powerful enough to significantly enhance both cyber defense and offensive cyber operations. Now, Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said to have informed OpenAI's CEO, Sam Altman, of the decision during the meeting this week. And now officials reportedly want multiple government agencies to thoroughly evaluate the system before a wide public launch, marking what appears to be the first time Washington has intervened before the release of a major US developed AI model. So, can you imagine that the models are becoming so much more advanced in such a short period of time that you have the presidential administration interfering in terms of their release? Now, OpenAI is expected to expand access after additional safety testings. And now, until now, you had AI companies largely determining when and how a new model would be released. As AI systems become more increasingly capable of autonomous coding, cybersecurity testing, and scientific research, governments around the world are beginning to treat frontier AI technology as critical national security technology. So this could mark the beginning of what we're seeing, where there's going to be more AI regulation entering a new phase. Governments have traditionally regulated technologies after problems emerge. Now, this seems like they're thinking ahead of it, preventing any problems to emerge. So now with this frontier, AI of policymakers could appear to be determined to prevent and intervene before deployment, and while recognizing that these systems may soon rival what would be in terms of their own defense capabilities and strategic technologies such as nuclear research or advanced cryptography. So this is very significant. And now the latest news is that AI is now making the cost of our laptops more expensive. So AI is no longer just changing how we work, it's also beginning to change the consumer and how they pay for technology. And this is coming after Apple says that their Macs, some of their Mac computers, the iPad Pros, and some of their home devices and its premium Vision Pro headsets will see a price increase for up to 20%. They say that these hikes are approximately about $30 US on smaller smart home products, as much as, and it can go up to as much as $1,300 on certain high-end Mac configurations. Now, industry analysts say that the increased reflected price is a pressure across because of semiconductor supply chains, as well as the demand for advanced memory chips continue to surge due to artificial intelligence, cloud computing, and next generation consumer electronics. Now, the announcement also highlights how the global AI boom is affecting everyday consumers, with technology companies competing aggressively for limited chip supplies. And so now that is affecting what it means for the end product, and that could be your latest iPad or your latest computer and certain Mac devices. Now, the same semiconductor shortages are now affecting gaming consoles as well, because Microsoft has announced that their Xbox prices are going to go up to $150 increase. And that's also similar to when it comes to Sony and Nintendo. So industry analysts are saying that rapid construction of AI data centers around the world is consuming enormous quantities of advanced memory chips. So therefore, it's not going to be the same when it comes to the supply they had for everyday consumer electronics. For decades, electronics generally became cheaper, if you realize, right? When there was a new model, it was usually expensive. And then when there was more competition, electronics became cheaper. Now we're seeing the flip side of that, where you have AI, that's in the AI race, that is also now increasing prices for electronic goods. Very interesting times that we're in. And when it comes to certain movements, and in California, there is now where the voters will get a chance to decide if there should be a billionaire wealth tax. We've been talking about billionaire wealth tax when it comes to potentially, Democrats, or when it comes to social democrats and that part of the far left, about being able to add an additional tax to a certain income bracket to be able to have more funding for a state. Now, this seems to be the case for California, as voters could soon decide one of the most closely watched tax proposals in the United States. Now, a ballot initiative scheduled for November would impose a one-time 5% tax on California's billionaires. Supporters of this say that the estimated measure could generate approximately $100 billion, and that would help fund the state's Medicare, healthcare systems following federal spending reductions. And now this is at a time where Governor Gavin Newsom says that business leaders, as well as healthcare organizations and labor groups, are opposing the proposal. Now, critics argue that California already relies heavily on its wealthiest residents for tax revenues, and warns that additional taxes could accelerate the migration of billionaires leaving California at a quicker pace, as major employers have in the previous months and years to other states. You've had a massive influx of businesses leave California and go to places like Texas or Florida, where taxes have been a lot more affordable. So now California does have 200 billionaires that would be affected by the measure. And Canada's very own BlackBerry is making a comeback. The company that was once known for making smartphones, and if you recall, BBM chats, is proving that maybe one of Canada's biggest corporate comeback stories is really happening. So now BlackBerry's shares surged nearly 20% after reporting stronger than expected quarterly earnings. Now, this Waterloo-based technology company reported operating earnings that climbed 144% compared to a year ago. So that's very significant in such a short period of time, driven by rapid growth in its automotive software and secure communications businesses. Now, the company has quietly reinvented itself over the past decade. If you recall, BBM really led the way, and it was the choice of phone by even government agencies. Not just in Canada, but across the world. Many different government agencies used BlackBerry as they issued it to their public sector and in the private sector. If you recall, at a time where if you were in a corporation, they gave you a BlackBerry to use. And then things changed when the iPhone came out back in 2008, 2007, and then the inception of the App Store. Well, BlackBerry decided it wasn't going to have an App Store. They thought it was just meaningless and useless. And the adoption continued, as you saw Apple really reinvent the way phone usage was, where it became a little mini computer in your pocket, and BlackBerry was just too slow to adopt the changes that Apple really raised. And then after really taking a back seat in terms of the market share compared to Apple and then Samsung, well, now it's been reinventing itself. And instead of making phones, BlackBerry's now develops operating systems used in millions of connected vehicles, cybersecurity software for governments and corporations, as we had those contracts before. So it's reinvented itself for these connected vehicles and cybersecurity software. And of course, when it comes to government and corporations, and software platforms designed for robotics and industrial AI. Now, the strong results has helped push BlackBerry back up when it comes to shares more than 180% this year, making it one of Canada's top performing technology stocks. So it's really nice to hear that's happening. Investors are increasingly betting that BlackBerry software will play an important role in the next generation of AI-powered vehicles and industrial automation. And the IOC is to pay Olympic athletes. This is good news because for the first time in Olympic history, competing at the Games will come with a guaranteed financial support. The International Olympic Committee has announced a $140 million US athlete fund, marking the first time competitors across both the Summer and Winter Olympics will receive direct financial assistance. Now, eligible athletes will be able to receive $10,000 regardless of whether they win a medal, provided they meet the eligible requirements, including an anti-doping standards. For decades, Olympic athletes have relied largely on sponsorships, fundraising, and government grants, while often covering significant training expenses themselves. So now that created pressure on the athletes' compensation that had been building in recent years after International Sports Federation began introducing prize money at major competitions. Now, supporters say that the payments recognize the financial sacrifices elite athletes really make to simply reach the Olympic Games. And this is a time where we're seeing tens and thousands of dollars won't change the lives of superstar athletes, but when it comes for competitors from small countries or athletes training without major sponsorships, it could mean the difference between continuing their Olympic dreams or walking away from sports because of funding. So this is really great news. And Canada continues to expand its role in the rapidly growing global space economy. Canadian aerospace company MDA Space has secured a $688 million contract from the Canadian Space Agency to build a next generation radar satellite. Unlike traditional satellites, synthetic aperture radar satellites can produce highly detailed images through cloud cover, smoke, as well as darkness, making them valuable for national defense, Arctic surveillance, which has been top priority by the federal government, and disaster response and environmental monitoring. Now, the announcement comes less than a week after MDA revealed plans to acquire an American satellite manufacturer in a deal worth approximately $874 million, expanding its presence in the United States market. Now, the company has become the central player in Canada's growing investment in space technology, sovereignty, and national security. Space is no longer just about exploration, it's becoming a critical infrastructure. Satellites now support everything from military intelligence and border security to agriculture, wildfire monitoring, and shipping and climate forecasting. Canada is investing heavily to ensure it remains competitive in this increasingly strategic sector. And Canada's fintech sector continues to attract major investors' confidence. The Toronto-based financial technology company Float has raised $85 million in a new funding, giving the company a valuation of approximately $548 million. Float provides corporate credit cards and expense management software designed to help businesses manage better spending and cash flow. The latest funding round represents about roughly 70% increase of the company's valuation since its previous financing back in 2025. Now, the investment comes despite a major cautious when it comes to venture capital markets, suggesting that the investors remain quite optimistic about the Canadian financial technology companies and strong revenue growth and scalable business models. Now, the new capital will be used to expand Float's products and accelerate growth across Canada. While headlines often focus on Silicon Valley, Canada's fintech ecosystem continues to mature when you have companies like Float, as well as other technology firms, and what we've seen in terms of Blackberry'S numbers. It's good news that Canada is paving its way in the sector.